Hello everyone. Welcome to Spooky Podcast. My name is Eva. I welcome all of you to hear my story, which is something I never thought I would live through, let alone speak of. But some things demand to be told, even if they haunt you forever. I had spent the last few months running from my past. The constant noise of city life, the judgmental stares, the whispers behind my back. I was done with it all. My family's once perfect image had crumbled when my father's long hidden affair came to light in the most public and humiliating way possible. A scandalous headline, an emotional breakdown from my mother on the front steps of our house, and neighbors who watched the drama unfold like it was a soap opera. It was all too much for me. So I did what anyone desperate for peace would do. I ran. I found a quiet town in the middle of nowhere and decided it was the fresh start I needed. The apartment was perfect as the rent was absurdly low. Nestled on the outskirts of town in an old, crumbling building that had once been a schoolhouse. It felt like a forgotten relic of the past, and the landlord, an old man named Mr. Clawway, had a strange, distant air about him. He barely spoke, only handing over the keys and reminding me to lock the door at night. He seemed to vanish as quickly as he appeared. My apartment was on the second floor, and though the building had an almost haunting presence, I tried not to let it get to me. The creaky floors, the faded wallpaper, the dusty corners, it all felt strangely comforting. The silence was soothing after my chaotic life in the city. For the first few days, I enjoyed the solitude. But then, as night fell, things began to change slowly. It all started with a soft, rustling noise. At first, I thought it was the wind, maybe the pipes, or the old wood settling. But every night it grew a bit louder. And then, one day, it turned into something more deliberate. A voice, or rather, multiple voices. The whispers were so soft I could hardly make them out at first. But they repeated, over and over, as if calling my name. It sent chills down my spine. I chalked it up, thinking that it must be the stress of my new life. But the longer the whispers continued, the harder it was to ignore them. It wasn't just random sounds now. It was like the walls themselves were alive, breathing, murmuring, directed at me. But I said to myself, it must be some distant voice in neighborhood. After all, it's not possible that walls could speak. As the days went on, the whispers grew louder and more distinct. I would sit at my desk trying to concentrate on my work, but the voices would creep into my thoughts, distracting me. My heart would race. I would rush to check the windows, the doors. Everything was locked. But it wasn't just the whispers. At night, I began to hear scratching noises coming from within the walls. It sounded like a nails, fingers scraping desperately. and sometimes the sound would pause for a moment before a single heavy thud echoed through the apartment. I would freeze, my breath caught in my throat, trying to convince myself it was just the old building settling, or maybe my mind playing tricks on me since I have never lived alone. But the walls felt wrong, like they were closing in on me. As the days passed, I became consumed by the mystery of the voices. One evening, driven by a mixture of dread and curiosity, I pressed my ear against the cold, damp wall. The whispers stopped, leaving only silence in their wake. But then, a guttural voice resonated from within, as though something was speaking directly into my skull. "Why are you here?" it asked. I recoiled in terror, my pulse hammering in my ears. I thought I must have done something, but I hadn't spoken loud, hadn't made any movements that could explain the voice's sudden appearance. But it was there, unmistakably. The next day, I went to the local library, desperate to understand what was happening. The librarian, an older woman with sharp eyes, immediately recognized the address of the building when I mentioned it. "That building?" she said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "It used to be a school for troubled children." She paused, her gaze flickering to the window, as though checking to see if anyone could hear us. But that was a long time ago. They say the place was cursed. Some of the kids they disappeared. And the man who ran the school, he was a strange one. People said he had a dark interest. I pushed for more details, but the librarian grew increasingly uneasy, shushing me, warning me to leave the building alone. But I was determined now. I had to know what was happening. So that night I searched the building for answers. I dug through dusty old records in the basement, finding blueprints of the building and articles on its former inhabitants. The most chilling thing I found was a mention of the original headmaster, a man named Mr. Thorne. Mr. Thorne had been obsessed with a strange theory that the soul could be trapped beyond within a physical object. He had performed rituals designed to entrap the soul of children in the walls of the school itself. Most of the children had gone missing under strange circumstances, never found. The rumor was that their souls were taken, trapped forever, hidden in the walls. As I read on, I felt an icy presence behind me. The whispers were back, louder, closer. I turned quickly, heart pounding, but there was nothing. The whispers continued, becoming more insistent. The voices were no longer just calling my name. Now they were asking me to join them, to come closer. They told me things I couldn't possibly know. The names of people from my past, my secrets. They twisted my memories, blurring the line between what was real and what was imagined. I began losing track of time. I couldn't remember when I last ate or slept. I would wake up in strange places in my apartment, disoriented. My mind felt like it was slowly unraveling, and every night the whispers grew louder and stronger, more demanding. One evening, I decided to confront the voices. I slammed my hand against the wall and screamed, "What do you want from me?" My body felt like it was standing on fire. The silence that followed was suffocating. But then, in a voice that was no longer a whisper, but a scream, the wall answered, "Join us, become one of us." The sound of children's laughter echoed through my mind. I could see their hollow, empty eyes, their eyes full of longing, their hands reaching out to me. The walls trembled as if they were alive, the laughter intensifying, consuming my thoughts. I collapsed to the floor, my mind shattered, and then everything went dark. When I woke up, it was the next morning. The landlord, Mr. Clovey, was in front of me, and he said he found me lying on the corridor. I sat on the floor, pale, recollecting everything happened till now. I packed my bags without a word and left the apartment. I couldn't stay there any longer. I went back home to live with my mother. The chaos of my father's scandal seemed insignificant now compared to what I had endured. My mother welcomed me with open arms, not asking too many questions about what had happened. But the whispers stayed with me at night in the quiet of my childhood bedroom. I would sometimes hear them faintly, just a murmur on the edge of my consciousness, and I would remind myself never to answer again.
Thank you for joining me on this chilling journey. If you enjoyed today's Yuri experience, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more spine tingling stories. I will be uploading every week. And let me know in the comments which types of stories you would love to hear next. For more bone chilling episodes, check out this next one. I think you don't want to miss it.
See you soon.